Sup, everybody? Sup, Rebecca and Carrie?
Sup, Matthew? Sup, Carrie?
Oh my gosh. So I'm curious. I noticed something different about your background, Rebecca. Is there something different about that background and where you're at?
You know, it's interesting because it's very close to the color of my last house, but I am coming in hot on two wheels. I literally just signed on to the internet for the first time in my new house 10 minutes ago. So here we are. It's been moving day. I'm in moving mode, but I left one packed shirt out to wear, and we're here because I'm so excited about tonight's episode that I could not even bow out for one night because this crew is amazing.
Totally agree. And what dedication that you have, especially to helping to show these gems shine, coming in on two wheels like that. I mean, really, most folks would be like, hey, look, guys, I'm going to have to find a replacement because I'm going to be doing all sorts of stuff. But Rebecca, she's our rock.
You know what? I don't know about that. I think it's selfish, Matthew, because this crew is so amazing. And I've told you, and I'm going to just repeat it for our viewers. But when I was a teenager, my grandmother had Alzheimer's disease, and I did not always know how to relate to her. So our visits, you know, I'm a little type A, right? So I thought, oh, I should visit her for at least an hour, 3 to 4 times a week. And usually about 15 minutes into our visit, she's looking at her watch going, sweetheart, isn't there somewhere that you need to be? Because I didn't get it. Like, I didn't get how to connect with her. And so, especially when we added COVID on top of it too, that engagement piece is so challenging. But these folks are going to rock our worlds tonight with some of the mountains they've moved with COVID and engagement. So I couldn't miss this. It's just all selfish. So
That's so cool. And
I
so
learned about Laurie. Now, you actually found this diamond in the rough, Matthew. Can you tell me how you found about Laurie Evans?
yeah, so our amazing certified community Facebook page that we have. So when you get certified, you get access, you get invited to this certified community page. And it's a great place for people to share things out of what they're doing, to be able to ask for help when they need it. And Laurie, so amazing, shared her story. She shared what she did with her mother, and talking about that engagement piece, just like you were saying, Rebecca. She was sharing what she did to help better engage with her mother as she was going through this process. And she so wonderfully agreed to join us tonight to share that story. So welcome to the SUP stage, Laurie Evans. Please come to the stage.
Okay.
Welcome,
Hello.
Laurie. Welcome to Straight Up Positive, as we say. Sup, Laurie?
What's up, guys? Thanks for having me.
Thanks for being here. I just love your story. And this is going to be one of those times when I feel like we don't even get to share enough of it. But will you tell our viewers, you came to this whole certified community in a different way than most folks. Can you tell us a little bit about that background?
Sure. I am a licensed clinical social worker. I've always worked in psychiatric clinics, counseling clinics, that kind of thing, mental health focused. Not much background in Alzheimer's and dementia. And then my sweet mom started showing signs of cognitive decline, and then later was diagnosed with Alzheimer's. So I had great motivation to learn. And so I did. And that's how I discovered you all.
So you found out about this Teepa Snow lady that we are all
Yes.
in admiration of. And you decided that you would go for an engagement certification. Is that right?
Yes. First, I stalked Teepa on YouTube and Facebook and everything I could find, anything she's put out there. You know, if I had a question with mom, why is she fighting with the aides about taking a shower? I'm sure Teepa has the answer. So I would get online and search for a Teepa video, you know, and yes. So I learned a great deal from her before I got certified. And then once, of course, I went through a certification course, it was phenomenal. The doors
So
flew open.
yeah, so you was that course because you came as a daughter, not as a professional doing this. Was
Right.
it similar or different than you expected it to be?
Oh, completely different. I was under the wrong idea that, all you needed to be an engagement leader was a little personality, and was a cheerleader, I'm an extrovert. I thought we just need to put some Elvis tunes on and get this place hopping. And, boy, was I wrong. I had no idea the work and the training and the learning and the practice that it takes to be an effective engagement leader.
And so you had started, you were saying with your mom's experience and COVID, how that impacted your ability to have those visits. There were certain things that you kind of intuitively knew to honor her spirit and who she was and what she likes. But then you found some new ways to connect with her. So what were those old things that you were using to connect with your mom prior to the certification course?
Well, my mom loved a milkshake. So I knew every time I could keep her engaged with me if I brought a milkshake. So that was number one. She loved outdoors, clouds, birds. She had a lovely patio with rocking chairs on it, and we would visit, sit on the rocking chairs on the patio and talk about the clouds and that kind of thing. But it's hard to just sit and have a conversation as dementia continues its decline. So I had to learn to get creative, and boy, did this certification help me with that.
And that was what I was referencing with my own grandmother because I didn't really understand the language changes or the short-term memory. So the conversation, because I wasn't understanding those changes, I wasn't setting her up for the most success in our engagement.
Right.
And so what did you learn about kind of how to set your mom up for success with engagement?
Well, one thing I learned was that, I was her interaction. She wanted to visit with me, and I was flitting around her apartment trying to put away laundry and clean and wipe up this and do that and water the plant. And she would say, come sit down. And I'm like, oh yeah, I'll be there. Well, it's easier to, go clean than to sit and engage. And so with the engagement certification, it taught me to bring items. It taught me, if I'm sorting socks, guess what? I can dump them on the couch and she can help me. And then we're interacting together doing something. That had never occurred to me before, I mean,
Yeah.
wow, light bulb moment. So, although I will tell you, it was very embarrassing when I had my first little role play, and Alejandro said, here, engage with this person in this role play with fuzzy socks. And I failed so miserably. It was so embarrassing. How on earth do you engage with someone with fuzzy socks, but I learned. So.
Yeah, so it's not that you failed, it's just that's something you hadn't learned yet, right?
True, good perspective, yes. Good positive, straight up positive perspective, yes.
There you go. So, and you had an amazing mentor, which we're definitely going to ask her to come on the screen here in a few minutes. But so you knew the milkshakes, you knew this concept of doing for her, doing to around the house, but not really connecting with, right?
Right.
And I think that's something that a lot of families struggle with. It's easier to do the cleaning or to do this or to do the grocery shopping, but how do I still make that connection? And that was so vital for you. Yeah.
It was so vital. It really was a game changer for me. And my mom was very, very social, and she had the most wonderful friends in the world, and they named themselves Team Daleen. My mom's name was Daleen. And so each one took a different day, and they took her out for drives, and they took her to lunch and took her for ice cream and did all these wonderful things with her, which was great because there wasn't much going on activity-wise in the place where she lived. So it helped meet that social need for her. But I tell you, once COVID hit,
Yeah.
her social life came to a screeching, lonely halt. And that was rough.
Yeah, so she did have the support system, and socialization was
She
so important to
did.
her, and now it was just taken away.
Right.
So you knew that you were, maybe tell us a little bit about your compassionate caregiver allowance, and then what were some of the things that worked after your certification? Because you said to us, not everything works.
Right.
Some
Right.
things flopped, but
True. Yes. Well, first, she was in isolation, lockdown, and, we weren't even allowed window visits. She was in a facility that actually was behind a wall with a little guardhouse. And so I couldn't even go just put a lawn chair by her window like I saw people doing on Facebook. So that was really heartbreaking and difficult for me. So I had to just, talk on the phone or do FaceTime, which was next to impossible. It just was not, the best. But then they started allowing window visits. So that's when, I discovered, hey, I'm sitting here with a closed window, a 6-foot table between me and the window, mom and I both with masks, and we're given 30 minutes to visit. Well, that's a tough order, Alzheimer's or not, that's a tough order, but boy.
exactly. Yes.
So then I happened to see a video that Teepa did, because of course I'm still stalking her on YouTube and Facebook, where she brought squash, different types of squash, and she was asking, help me remember, what do I do with this squash, and how do I make soup with this, and that kind of thing. And I thought, I too can do this, wow. So one time I brought a cushion that she had sewn. She had made this cushion, and my son had ruined it. He sat on it with sweaty shorts or something, and soccer boy. And so I took it to her and I said, I need you to help me out with this. My son sat on this, and, I want to try to fix it. And how did you sew it? And did you put the cord on this way, or, that kind of thing? That was a flop. She did not engage with that, for whatever reason. I'll tell you what I loved the most about this. One of my great things I learned was the "can you help me" question.
Yeah.
That was revolutionary. Can you help me with this? Can you help me understand? Then they feel a sense of purpose and needed, and they're participating. And yeah, my mom rose to the occasion so many times when I would start with that. It was
So
great.
even though maybe fixing that cushion wasn't working, the way that you even went about it was different than you would have gone about it beforehand. That idea of can you help me with something?
Can you help
which
me
really
with it? Yes.
appeals to her sense of dignity and the mama bear. Right?
Yes. But then also bringing objects. I didn't think to bring objects to the window visit. So then I brought bracelets and jewelry one time. And there was a great activity lady that was there, playing the warden who had to sit by the window, which is not a good use of time for the activity director. But that's another story. Anyway, and so she took the things in and handed them to mom. And then I asked mom to help me, look at these different items. And actually I have some right here because I brought them to show y'all. So I have these bracelets of different materials, and they were purchased in different countries where we had traveled and lived in Asia when my dad was in the Air Force. And so
wow.
I asked her, can you remember, like, can you help me remember where we got these, and, what this one's made out of? And I can't remember the name of this. What's this called? And then the activity lady was just really helpful. And she would say, now feel this. Is it smooth or rough? Do you think it's wood? Is it cool? And just help her understand what they were made out of. And then we would think about the memories of traveling to those places. And, this is jade, or we shopped for jade in Hong Kong on our trip. And, it's such a bustling city, and just, it helped us reminisce about those travels. But, just by bringing a few bracelets to the window visit, what a difference that made.
Just being able to have this object that became your focus of attention versus so much pressure that just having a conversation might bring for someone. So it took the attention onto something that you had a shared history of. I love that.
Exactly. And gave us something fun to talk about and happy memories.
So successful? It was a successful experience?
Definitely. That one was a winner, yes.
Oh.
Mm-hmm.
And I know, so for your engagement certification, you actually had to do a project.
I did.
And we have a little video that we're going to share, but can you give us a little bit of background on that project? And I'm also going to invite my friend Amanda Mullens to come on, since she served as your mentor, and I know she's got some insights to share with us. So tell us about the project that you did.
Okay, well, for the certification, we are told to lead an engagement activity with a group. And Amanda, wonderful mentor that she is, got permission for me to do the activity with my mom. And at that point, I had been given permission to be a compassionate caregiver for my mom, which allowed me to come into her facility and into her room and spend time with her in person. Thank goodness. So it was perfect timing because I got to go in and film this activity that I got to do with my mom. So that's the setup, I suppose.
And so I'm curious, Amanda, what did you think when you saw Laurie's video? Were you just blown away? What did you notice in the video?
Oh my goodness. Well, yes, I was blown away. And the thing that really stood out for me was the difference in her mom from the start of the activity and the end of the activity, and how she changed and kind of came alive and transformed during this engagement. It was really beautiful. There was a lot of love in that room, and they really, their relationship was beautiful, and the activity was kind of just right, for where she was in her journey. So yeah, congratulations to Laurie. It was lovely.
Well, I have to tell you, it was too hard to watch that video and figure out on what sets we would show here, but we did want to share some of it with our audience. So I passed the baton, and I had a huge ask. Matthew, can you help me with something? Can you help me figure out where we should edit this video to share? And he did, and he picked some certain places. So we're going to pull those up on the screen, and maybe if there's anything, Laurie, that you want to add, or Amanda, that you want to add, we'd love to hear that as well.
I am shooting because I know what you like. Popcorn, peanut butter, or Snickers ice cream.
Oh my goodness. Eeny, meeny, miny, mo.
I know.
All
And
of them.
do you want all of them? You can have all of them.
I like all of them.
All right, let's put on all of them then. So let's do your glue stick.
My glue stick.
Yeah, this right here. This is what makes it stick to the paper.
Oh.
Mm-hmm. So let me see you here.
What sticks what to the table?
This right here. If you hold this, and I hold on and help you with this. Now press it down to the paper and rub it back and forth. There you go. Oops.
Can I be so?
You can hold it, and rub it. Perfect.
That's right.
Yeah, and now that's great. And now we'll slip the other one in,
Oh my goodness.
and we'll pat this one down while your milkshake.
Start back here.
You can start back there and run it across the paper.
I'm so talented.
You
I
are
cannot
so
believe it.
talented.
Oh my
What
golly.
on earth?
I love it.
See, your second grade teacher skills are coming back into play
Oh, that
here.
must be it.
Gluing pictures.
Oh my golly.
You did this for how many years?
Not very many.
You glued pictures for years teaching second grade.
No,
I love that. So, Laurie, tell me, you were reflecting back her being a teacher, and you were using a few skills that I've noticed in there, with some hand under hand and some visual cues.
Right. Of course, what I realized later was that I had her on her left side and wasn't doing hand under hand with the correct hand. But, she was allowing me. she was letting me work with her. So it was okay. But yes, I think she enjoyed the reflecting back on, teaching second grade. She had done that for years, the gluing and cutting out and pictures and that kind of thing. And then of course it was easy for me because I knew the things she liked that were her favorite things. So I had already, of course, Amanda taught me to do this, had already cut out the pictures and had them ready for her and had a few things to select. So.
And even with that select, I love with the sweets, it's just like, but I love them all. So
right.
we just put them all on there. Yes.
Absolutely.
And then there's a segment about little ones too. Tell us about that. I think Matthew's got the video queued up for that. What did you notice about, or what did you bring to light there in that clip?
My mother loves little children, always has. One of her favorite activities is to just go to a park and sit and watch the children play. And if we were in a store and there was a baby in a cart, she would go and speak to the mom, and it'd be hard to pull her away. So I knew she loved the little children. So that was one of her favorite things to put on the poster.
Awesome. Let's see this.
Whose baby is that?
Well, it's a picture of another one of your favorite things because you love children, right?
Right.
Do you love little babies more or bigger children like this more?
Oh, the little ones.
Little babies?
They can't talk back to you.
They can't talk back to you. That is a bonus. All right, well, let's go.
I love that. So instead of just saying an open-ended question like, what age group do you prefer? So Amanda, as her mentor, what did you notice in that question? She didn't just ask the open-ended, what's your favorite age group? But what did she do there?
Right. So she offered this either or choice with the visual. So she showed the picture and identified this or this. Which one is your favorite? Which was a really nice way to present that for her mom.
Absolutely. What do you think Mom might have said? Amanda, I'm asking you, if she had just said, Mom, what's your favorite age group for kids, or something more broad like that?
No, well, I don't know. I don't know. All of them.
Yeah. But what was she able to get? A really humorous moment of, I like the little ones because they can't talk back. I mean, doesn't that just show such an awesome aspect of your mother? She's hilarious. And
Yes.
I mean, these are awesome. And so I think Matthew's got another segment about Christmas and her birthday. Anything you want to lead up for that with Laurie before you start the video?
I just knew to have some pictures of Christmas decorations. She loved Christmas decorations, but her birthday was on Christmas Day as well. So yes, I knew that was her birthday. So I was hoping to get her to recognize that as well.
Love it. Awesome. So let's see what she's got here.
What I happen to know is a favorite of yours, a Christmas tree. Why would a Christmas tree be a favorite of yours?
I don't know why.
What else happened on Christmas that was special?
Got presents.
You got presents? You got presents for two things, not just Christmas.
It's my birthday.
Your birthday, exactly. So
Happy birthday to me.
That's
Happy to me. Happy birthday, dear
Christmas baby, Daleen.
Daily.
All right, glue stick with the right hand.
Do what?
Use the glue stick with the right hand.
I don't have it anymore.
So, and I love that, Laurie, you brought to attention that you were on her non-dominant side.
Right.
And that's one of the things that we experience a lot as we're mentoring folks when they're trying to set up the video camera and it's, ooh, and we don't ask you to be a professional videographer, and goodness knows we aren't, I'm trying to watch these videos, but this isn't a professional television show where we've got someone, we're managing and you manage too. So in retrospect, you thought about this, oh, I should have been on her dominant side. And oh, I know you said to us that silly milkshake was in the way, but
Right.
that milkshake brought her joy, so it's fine.
Yes.
Yeah. Anything you want to add on to that clip, Amanda, before we go to the final singing clip, that was just great.
Oh, it's lovely. I'm excited to see it again. I think it just really showed Laurie's flexibility, and that's what we do in PAC is we try to keep the relationship first and be flexible. And so when she noticed, oh, this is feeling kind of funny on her non-dominant side, she had that aha moment and then made the adjustment and just continued on. And I think that's what we all try to do, is just to build our awareness. So yeah.
So I'm going to ask Matthew and you, Amanda, just because we do this PAC ease thing, this PAC list, where we're saying she was noticing that she should have been on her dominant side. Why is that so important? Can you tell our viewers about that?
Sure. Do you want me to take that, Matthew?
Yeah, sure.
Sure. Okay.
I was going to say, I always talk. I might as well let someone else talk for once.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah. So people are just more comfortable with having people, activity on their dominant side. And one of the things that we learn about in PAC is something Teepa came up with, which is this hand under hand approach to assisting with care and with tasks. And so Matthew's demoing it there. And so one of the reasons we want to be on that dominant side is that we're all accustomed to doing tasks primarily with our dominant hand. So if we're going to assist somebody with a self-care task or a project, anything that they're doing, we want to be able to assist them using their dominant hand. So we position on the dominant side.
Very cool. So thanks because not everyone that watches Straight Up Positive is necessarily in the certified community. So I try to be mindful of not going into that PAC list, that whole PAC language that we go into. So the last segment that Matthew has queued up, Laurie, is a little bit of a sing along, and it's a little bit longer. And we so appreciate you being here because this is special. Your mom passed since these videos were recorded, and obviously our hearts go out to you, and thank you for sharing this so soon with our viewers, knowing that there are folks out there who are in your exact situation, who are family caregivers, who are desperate to make these connections. And so we wanted to end with a little bit of a sing-along clip and talk about that on the other side.
Is the sound of music.
The hills are
That's
alive
exactly
with the
right.
sound of music.
So maybe
You can't sing myself.
it's okay. Maybe we could turn on favorite things while we clean up the pictures. And then we have our favorite things poster and our favorite things song. What do you think?
Sounds wonderful.
I know.
Wonderful. This is not mine, is it?
Yes, it is yours.
Okay.
It's your milkshake. Sadly, I don't have the record queued up.
So good.
There's our song.
On paper packages tied up with strings, these are a few of my favorite things.
Sing the rest of it.
You sing with me.
Cream-colored brownies and crisp apple strudels,
I don't know all the words.
and sleigh bells and schnitzel with noodles, wild geese that fly with the moon on their wings. These are a few of my favorite things. Girls in white dresses with blue satin sashes, snowflakes that stay on my nose and eyelashes,
Yes.
silver white winters that melt into springs. These are a few of my favorite things. When the dog bites, when the bee stings, when I'm feeling sad, I simply remember my favorite things, and then I don't feel so bad.
Don't stop it, Matthew. It was so good. So, Amanda, you talked about that change in affect from the beginning of the video and what we just saw there. Tell us about that, man.
Yeah, I mean, this started with, Laurie introducing this task. Her mom wasn't really sure what it was going to be, what it was going to turn into. And, Laurie just stuck with her, and and took it sort of step by step. And each time a memory would pop up, or they would have the chance to laugh about something, she perked up more and more and more, right up to that singing at the end, which was just so beautiful. I will never forget it. It's just one of my favorite videos.
One of your favorite things?
Yes.
Just like the song.
Yep.
And it was awesome because it was a failure-free activity, right? I mean, she couldn't, even when she forgot the words, well, then she had the milkshake that was definitely failure-free. And it was just such a beautiful moment of truly making that connection. That's what you were trying to do, and you were making a very strong connection there with her. That's so awesome. And, Laurie, you had mentioned to us when we talked previously about COVID actually forcing you to really step up your engagement game, because previously you would maybe go with your mom on outings outside of her facility, but here it was all right here in this this contained space. Anything you'd like to add about that or share with our viewers? Because a lot of us tend to do that naturally, go on outings. It's an easier distraction.
Mhm. And that's the thing, it is a distraction, and sure, mom liked getting out, definitely. But you don't have as intense of a focused connection if you're driving or shopping or, looking around at the park or different things. And while she enjoyed those things, it did force me to take that engagement connection to a deeper level when it was just the two of us, eyeball to eyeball, in her apartment with no place to go and potentially nothing to do. But thankfully, we learned how to do some things.
So you got some new awareness and some
Definitely
serious skills there with that engagement certification. I just love your story, and I feel like we could talk with you the whole hour, but another person that you actually became connected with through this whole experience was a group called Caregivers for Compromise. So can you tell us about your connection there? And we'll have Mary join us as well.
Yes. So as I was looking for support and encouragement in this crisis, since COVID, I found this group on Facebook, Texas Caregivers for Compromise, and Mary is the fearless leader of that, and she is amazing. And it is an advocacy group really set up with the sole purpose of getting long-term care residents their rights and allowing their families those essential caregiver visits. And it was really something that just gave me a boost in that terrible time of feeling hopeless. It was helped me feel empowered, caused me to write my state representative, caused me to write my mom's story in a book that they had published, Saving Them to Death. I have the Isolation Kills Too yard sign in my yard still with my mom's name and birth and death date on it. So they do tremendous work, and I was just so thankful to have them just even as the support group. Everybody comments, on Facebook, online, and it's just such a great support, but with a great goal.
So great that you reached out and you said, I know I'm not the only one who's going through this. There have to be other people. So we wanted to invite that. What was the word that you used? She's a warrior or something? I can't remember exactly what she said, but
I don't remember what I said, but she's
so
fantastic.
you met this fierce advocate. And so
Yes.
Mary Nichols, welcome to Straight Up Positive. What's up, Mary?
What's up, Mary?
Hi, guys. I don't know if I'm a fearless warrior, but I definitely have some fights that I've had to go through. But yeah, it's a worthy cause, and I'm kind of choked up after Laurie's videos, so I hate that I had to follow her. Like Laurie, my mom has dementia, so that was a kind of difficult thing to watch for me.
Yeah. And with all great stories comes support. right? There needs to be support. There needs to be that piece there, because it's not just about one person. A lot of times it's a team thing. It takes many people coming together, especially with all of the amazing things that you do, Mary. But just to kind of back us up a little bit, you're coming from an interesting place right now. Talking about Rebecca coming in on two wheels and really being here because she really wanted to be a part of tonight and wanted to be able to show the shine. You're kind of doing the same thing for us. So you could share your story. Tell us where you're at right now.
I am live from Goose Island in the marshlands of Texas because I also am a photographer. I like to take photos of birds and whooping cranes. In 1941, there was only 21 of them left. And now there are hundreds, and they migrate here from Canada this time every year. And so it's really unique to be able to photograph those and watch them. So it's something that I like to do. And I've only done it a few years, but now I do it all the time. So I'm here on Goose Island, but feel very strongly about being here. And so if I have to rig it up so that I can be here, I'm going to be here. And that's actually what I did. You'd be amazed at what we went through to make sure we get internet here. But yeah, I'm on Goose Island.
That's so cool. And we're so thankful that you did, because you have such a great story to tell us and to give us some information too, especially for all of those folks out there who aren't quite sure what to do when it comes to getting something going and what it takes to really see it from the beginning to that. And you use this word, and I know we'll use it again, that laser focus so that it can succeed. But before we get into that, tell us about yourself. So you already said your mom was living with dementia, and you went through this with your mom as a caregiver. But so tell us about you and your background.
So yeah, my mom has Alzheimer's. She started with vascular dementia, and I'm retired from city government, and I would go see her every day. Now she has lost her communication skills. She can no longer make eye contact, but that time with her was critical to her. She needed that muscle memory in her brain, that reminder of who I was. And many times I stood in the shower singing to her just so she was not combative and the aides could bathe her. And the different things we did to distract her and to calm her and to redirect her. So I know how critical it is for those people whose moms are no longer able to have contact with them. My mom is kind of lucky because in her condition, she is not one of those that's at the window crying, let me in, or you come in, let me out, or feeling like she's been forgotten. But I do know from my experience with my mom how many adults, and it's not all seniors, there's young adults with cognitive issues who do not understand why they can't see that parent, that sister, or even that child, you know. And there are blind adults and there are deaf adults who are experiencing a new kind of blindness and a new kind of deafness. So this isolation has been cruel in a lot of ways. Even if they're not wholly isolated, the quarantines are very difficult for people. 2 weeks to a person with dementia is forever. 1 day is forever. You can come back the next day and they don't remember you're the daughter. So 2 weeks is an eternity. And a lot of family members, when they did finally reunite, there was no memory there. That relationship had been destroyed. It was gone. The loved one no longer remembered who that person was. And that was just time that was lost that you couldn't get back. So that's kind of my driving force here, is I don't want to see people lose that, because you can't get that back. And I saw with my own mom how critical it was to have that person that was willing to stand in the shower and for her clothes and sing and do whatever it takes.
Yeah, and what great connection.
Help you understand that it's okay.
Yeah, and what great use of connection with your mom to help her feel more comfortable and to make sure that you are helping others out there have that contact that's so crucial. And so this, all of this going on, all of what you were seeing and experiencing, how did this lead you up to starting up this Caregivers for Compromise in Texas?
Well, I actually followed somebody in Florida. I started looking online for people like me, and I found Mary Daniel in Florida, who started Caregivers for Compromise, a national group. And she encouraged people to start state groups. And I immediately started a state group, and just got to work. Started finding people like me, invited them to the group, and we started brainstorming and coming up with ways that we could approach our legislators, we could approach Texas Health and Human Services, we could approach our facilities, we could talk to one another, things that we could do to help make a change. And I just felt very strongly that screaming somebody do something was not advocacy. That's frustration, and it's valid frustration, but it's not advocacy, and it's really not going to affect any positive change. And if we really are about creating a positive change, then we've got to be willing to take those steps and step out in courage and step out in faith. And sometimes it's a scary thing to do because people criticize you, and they criticize you publicly. In this instant information world, Twitter and Facebook and Instagram, if you go on the news, you don't read the comments. Never read the comments, because a lot of them are not going to be good. But you've just got to have the courage to step out and try to make those positive changes.
Yeah, and so you saw that Mary Daniels was doing this thing, and you got connected with her, and that encouragement to start that state chapter. And then and you're starting to get into that piece that we had kind of talked about before, when it came to finding that laser focus. And so what were some of the things you started off with? What were some of the projects that you guys got going with your group there in Texas?
Well, the first thing we did was a petition. We had to connect with each other. We had to grow our group. So we started a petition. And I know people tire of me saying it, but we have to have a laser focus. And that focus is only visitation and long-term care. There are so many worthy projects out there. There's visitation in hospitals. There's all kinds of issues regarding change in long-term care regulations, but we have to stay focused on our one and only purpose, and that is long-term care visitation. And as long as we stayed focused on that, then we were able to come up with projects that helped us to make the kinds of changes that we wanted. So the first thing we did was our petition, and we were very successful with that petition. Our group members shared that with everybody they had friends with. We went all over the internet, and we found every time there was a story about Alzheimer's or dementia or any type of cognitive disorder or any type of visitation issue, we shared that petition there, invited them to our group. And by the time it was all over with, we had over 25,000 names. We actually had close to 26,000, but I'm saying 25 because we did have several hundred people from out of state, but most of those were Texas names. And if you want to affect change in Texas, lawmakers want to see Texas names. They want to see the people who vote for them. They want to see the people they represent. And so it was very important that, again, we stay laser focused and get those Texas names. So the first thing was that petition, and it was very successful. We also did a rally at the Texas Capitol. Wasn't a huge rally because we had a big rally planned. And about the time the rally started, Texas came out with what they called their phase 1 visitation guidelines. This was a trial and error set of guidelines that I'm trying to find a positive way to say this, but there's not. They were a disaster. They just did not work. And so those guidelines came out on August the 7th, and our rally was August the 8th. So we had a lot of people who thought, yay, we're in. We don't need to rally. We don't need to fight anymore, until they saw the guidelines and realized that it really wasn't allowing them to visit their loved ones at all. In fact, of the 1,223 nursing homes in the state of Texas, I think
the internet, unfortunately,
one visitation. So it was, yeah, it just didn't work. So, and then we also did an advocacy book that Laurie mentioned earlier, and that advocacy book included stories about loved ones in long-term care. And we also included those stories in our petition that we mailed over and over again to the governor and Health and Human Services. We kept it person-centered and made sure that we never lost focus, that this was who this was about, that this was about people. And it was about making sure that that family unit was not destroyed. And so we did make sure that those stories were included in our petitions. And we had a very successful traveling sign project. The traveling signs were 300 signs, and Laurie alluded to that too. She has her sign. And those signs each bore the name of a person who either died in long-term care or who was living in long-term care. And we took those signs and sent them on a trip around Texas. And they went several cities. I think we wound up with 13 cities. And we had sign hosts that would meet halfway. The signs would go in a yard for a few days. There'd be time for the media to look at it. There'd be time for family members to come take pictures. And then the next sign host would meet that sign host halfway and put them in their property. And that's how we transported them around the state of Texas. And those signs are actually going national now. We have a national advocacy group that Mary Daniels started, and there are 50 Caregivers for Compromise groups now, one in every state, and several states are now doing these traveling signs. They're going to be in Florida, they're going to be in New Jersey, they're going to be in Illinois. I mean, we have several states that are going to pick up that banner. They're the exact same sign. They're the big yellow signs that say isolation kills too. So Texas kind of lit that match, and we're really excited that those are going to be going across the country, and that message is going to be going other places to help other states kind of accomplish what we feel like we've accomplished here.
Yeah, and that all this stems from going back to what you were talking about earlier, which is that laser focus. And so looking at when you're trying to start something like this, when you're trying to find a way to advocate or to help meet an unmet need in your community, how important it is to take those little bites, right? Instead of trying to tackle every single issue that there is out there, you guys focused on that piece of that visitation, getting those visitations going. And that was your laser focus. That's where you guys stayed strong. And that helped to build that success and continue to grow through, and you had shared the 4 cornerstone projects, which you gave us those 3. So you gave us 3 of those so far. And that sign, the traveling signs, and how huge that was. And you mentioned something about what helped as well with that laser focus was that roadmap. And you used the word fasting. Tell us about fasting.
So yeah, so I did give you 4. Maybe I forgot one. The petition, the rally, the traveling signs, and the advocacy book. So those were our 4. And we do have kind of a roadmap, and this was not intentionally, but it spells out the word fasting, which coincidentally or not, we feel like our loved ones in long-term care are contact starved, and they are fasting because they are starved for human contact. They're starved for that human touch. So with each one of our projects, we tried very hard not to repeat ourselves. We had a goal for each individual project, and the focus stayed the same. Our focus was always long-term care, but each project we needed to be acutely aware of who our audience was. So with the petition, we were talking to each other, trying to grow our group, trying to make sure we find other people with our message that, you know, get us together. We've got to get this group of warriors together. So we're actually using a different language than when we're creating an advocacy book that we're mailing to our legislators. So that's a different audience. So the audience for each project was a little different, and you've got to kind of know who your audience is. Also, before you start a project, you've got to know that strategy. Don't just start something. I know several people who have thought, oh, this is a good idea, let's do it. But they didn't strategize before they threw that project out to their group, or their strategy before you try to sell that project to the rest of your group. And then you've got to know where your bullseye is. That's your target. And so your target for each project may be different. And that's not the same thing as a goal. That is exactly what this one thing is going to accomplish. So maybe the one thing we needed the petition to accomplish was grow our group. That's not the same thing as opening long-term care, but that was the target for that particular thing. It changed because once the petition started growing, then we used that as a tool and changed our audience, rewrote it, and directed that at our legislators. So you've got to be flexible and be willing to change that. And then you've got to keep that identity. That's part your identity. That's part of your laser focus. Don't change midstream who you are. We are about long-term care visitation. Several people criticized us for not including hospital visitation. Hospital visitation is very important. Honestly, my father just had 5 bypasses, and I can't tell you how frustrating it was to be out in the parking lot and not allowed to go in and see my father. But I can't take on hospital visitation. If you try to fight all the battles, you will lose all the battles. So you've got to keep your identity, keep that laser focus. And then with each project, like I said, it's got to be new. You can't repeat them. So those things, the focus, the audience, the strategy, the target, your identity, keeping it new, and knowing your goal, the first letter of all those words spell out the word fasting. And I didn't realize it until I wrote it out. But I don't think it's any coincidence, really. It's just maybe providence that it worked out that way. But we do have this roadmap, and I do use that kind of as a litmus test before I put something out to our group. And if it's something we've already done, we're not going to do it again. There have been people who have said, oh, we need to rally at the Capitol again. No, we've already accomplished what we needed to accomplish there. And that was to introduce our group to the state of Texas and introduce our group to the media. And now we have media heroes that help us every single time we have an issue. And so we've already accomplished what we needed to accomplish by doing that. So we're not going to repeat ourselves. So everything we do goes against that litmus test. And that's what that roadmap is. I look at it and, we can't waste our loved ones' time. They just don't have any. And so if we throw out projects that are a waste of time, that's not our time we're wasting, it's theirs.
Yeah. And what great advice giving us that fasting and having that be that guide to give us that laser focus. So for all you folks out there who are looking for what can we do? How can we get started? What can be successful? What can help us with that? This is awesome advice to help get you going, get you started, especially from a program that's doing really well and really making a change. And so, Mary, thank you so much for joining us from Goose Island.
Goose Island.
Yes, Goose Island. We so appreciate you and all the hard work you're doing and your group is doing. It's just amazing. So thank you so much. We really appreciate you.
Yes,
We got
thank you.
Big things coming up. Watch for us. I mean, lots of new projects happening. So
yeah, and Carrie's
lots of new projects. Yet I love what you said, Mary, about that laser focus. Sorry, did I just take your words, Matthew?
No,
yeah, that idea of you have to have a focus because that time is critical right now. Yeah.
And the traveling signs, Carrie's going to share that link in the comments so you guys can see that what Mary was talking about with the traveling signs. So what a great example of a way to build up that awareness and that advocacy. So
Laurie, thank you for introducing us to Mary Nichols because we hadn't talked with her before. So thank you, because you connected with Laurie and Caregivers for Compromise in Texas, but also with PAC. And you mentioned a gift that PAC and TIPA, of course, gave you. If you would share a little bit about that.
Yes, the thing I love about watching Tipa is that she has a can-do attitude. Nothing is impossible. Nothing is hopeless. It's not too hard. We can do it. And so with just watching her videos and getting the engagement certification, I feel like that just gave me the skills to have hope and that it just wasn't too hard, that we can do it. It's not impossible and it's not too hard, and our loved ones need us to engage. And so that just really equipped me and really helped me and gave me that hope.
I love that. I love that can-do attitude, kind of like the name of Tipa's group, right? Positive approach to care. It's positive. We're going to do this. We can do this. And man, I gotta say, you had one of the best mentors in your corner too with Amanda Mullens. She is a dear friend and someone that I admire greatly. So thank you for coming on tonight with us, Amanda.
Thank you for having me. I wouldn't have missed it for the world. So thanks for the invite.
Oh, well, everybody, if you have comments for Mary or Laurie or Amanda, anyone that's had Amanda as your mentor, hey, write us in the comments below and send some love out to these amazing gems out there. And hey, Matthew, maybe we should do this again next week. Maybe a little straight up positive again next week.
Yeah, I'm kind of thinking it, you know, getting some momentum here going. I think it's doing some good, showing some amazing people out there.
Awesome. So we'll see you guys back here, same time next Tuesday at 7 Eastern. Love you guys. Have a good night.